What's going on, y'all? Bud Elliott here of the Nolecast, and it is a instant reaction, but not a Winston reaction. Unfortunately, today as the Noles fall to Georgia Tech in Ireland, 24-21 in a weird game that I really don't think you deserve to win, based on the way that you played. I saw some things that are encouraging and some things that are pretty discouraging. So let's kind of get into this and off the jump. Uh, I think you do have to give Georgia Tech some credit here. And I don't want that to sound like hey, like, let's not bang on the Noles, because I certainly will. But I thought that Faulkner did a really good job for Tech of using shifts in motion to keep FSU off balance. And FSU did not play with like great intentionality and downhill. It seemed like they were on their heels. And that's not like a, hey, let's be soft, let's be on our heels type thing. It's more of a not really trusting your eyes, having eye violations, sort of being more back on your heels because you're unsure what's going to happen. You got guys up front getting double teamed and backers not firing. And I think a lot of that is to Tech's credit, to be frank here. I thought they did a really good job. King and the passing offense, for a lot of the day, it wasn't good. And then he made one really awesome play where he slides in the pocket, avoids pressure. That looked like an NFL play. Most of the day, they were focused on rushing the football. But from a passing perspective, that was a huge play in the game. But I thought Tech did a great job of keeping FSU off balance. They exposed some things with FSU's defense that I'll get into. And then I thought Tech defensively, they obviously came out pretty flat, and then they found some ways to get into it, and they countered some of the things FSU was showing that they wanted to do on the first and second drive of the game. Obviously, we thank our sponsors, Legendary Home Loans team. I know Chad, sweating the game with us the entire time in the group chat. Obviously, you'd hope that it would go the other way. Congruity and Matt Lewis, and obviously Madso with Matt Thompson. It sucks to lose, right? I mean, that's no good. Was it entirely unexpected? Kinda, right? I had FSU 31-20, so I thought they would win, by 10, and instead they lose by 3. That's not great. It's certainly, certainly not good. All right, so let's just kind of go so I can keep my thoughts organized here rather than rambling. Let's go ahead and get into this a little bit. I will start offensively. Where do I want to start offensively? Let's start with DJ. I thought DJ was basically who he is. On this show, we have never, ever bought in to the idea that Florida State was going to unlock some special new level of DJ. We got some flack for saying that he had better personnel around him at Oregon State than he does in Tallahassee. Now, I still think he played a little bit below expectation, right? Like kind of what you expected, but a little bit below it. 19 of 27 on the night, but that's including all like the little like jet passes and whatnot. I think I charted 12 passes to receivers that were like actual passes. And that's really that's not a lot, right? I mean, you're going to normally run, 60-ish plays in the game. Florida State ran 58. That's tough, obviously. He's a guy who has accuracy problems and has throughout his entire career. He also didn't put the ball in harm's way. He didn't make any throws that could have or should have been a turnover. So I think there's some stuff you can work there. Like, obviously, everyone's going to be pretty depressed after this game, but I do think there's some stuff you can work with seeing how he played. And, you'd like him to hit some of those deep shots if possible. And maybe you can get him a little more wide open, but the deep shot to Douglas is a ball that really kind of has to be completed, I think, if you wanted to win the football game. Receivers kind of are what they are. I just I thought it was sort of like a middle of the pack receiving core for the ACC. I don't think they have many receivers who scare anybody right now. And I'm not trying to take a shot at Ja'Kai Douglas here, but the fact that he was your leading target guy on the day, I do think it says something about the rest of the room, right? It's that is concerning because Ja'Kai Douglas will be going pro in something other than sports. Like he's not a pro player, right? And you'd like to think at Florida State you have at least somebody who's going to go pro, who scares a defense and can get open. And right now, I think they pretty clearly don't have that guy. Opening drive came out. I thought they had a nice mix that they've clearly repped that a bunch and they were confident in executing it. After they got off script, it was much more difficult. And Georgia Tech also made some interesting changes. I think you are seeing a real consistent pattern of FSU not snapping the ball until the play clock has worn down, pretty deep into the play clock. And they're using all that time with the helmet comms. And to be honest with a guy like DJ, I think you probably should, right? Part of the reason why this year in football, I think we may have fewer turnovers, especially picks, is the ability of somebody to get in his ear and say, hey, remember this on this play. Like you're hot here, or like the one thing that kills us here is this. Don't be into that. But I thought Tech did a really nice job of bringing some delayed blitzes, moving late in the in the play clock, and to keep FSU off balance. I thought they did a nice job of that. Like honestly, they at times took advantage of Jeremiah Byers at right tackle, and Rob Scott was in there too a little bit. And I thought they played well, especially on that side. Florida State, to me, did not do a great job of countering that fast enough. Obviously, I mean, they lost the ball game. They only had 291 yards of offense. In the fourth quarter, you kind of saw them anticipating late blitz, and they had better blitz pickup. Obviously, Mo Smith got one. Roy Dell got a couple, but they were able to keep FSU's offense off balance. And I guarantee you, other teams will be taking a look at what Tech did to this offense and saying, okay, they right now have some slow developing, kind of screens and shot plays to backs. The backs are the best players on the team, but those are of limited explosive potential for the most part. And if you're blitzing them, they may not have time to fully develop on those, especially with some of the play action and trickeration. Toa Philly had the longest pass reception of the day of 21 yards. So not exactly an explosive passing performance by the Noles. And look, that's just, you're kind of bottled up. You move the ball some, you average 5 yards per play, which is not good. It's not horrendous, but you only had the ball for 58 plays. And, Tech had it for 52 plays, average 6.5. So, I mean, you're outgained by about 30% on a per play basis, even though in the yards, total yards, it's only going to show up as 336 against 291. Run game, if that's going to be your identity, that has to be a good bit better. The passing game looked really how I thought it would look. I don't have hope for this passing game. Not a lot. I mean, maybe as the season goes on, certainly there's some chance that they get better. Maybe as some of the young receivers either come back from injury or kind of mature a little more in the system, you can get that going. But I don't have a lot of hope for this passing game. I just think the receivers are what they are, and DJ kind of is what he is. I mean, let's be frank about this. If he was like accurate, he would be in the NFL, not in Tallahassee. So you kind of got what you got there. And I don't think that's a bad take in the portal. I think he comes with a lot of certainty with what you have. But again, you need to hit a couple of those deep shots, or at least one of them. Otherwise, like you're just too bottled up. I think their longest gain on the day was 28 yards, the Toa Philly run. And I don't even know what the second longest gain was. It's what are we looking at here? Yeah, 28, and then they had a 21. That's just really not going to get it done. I thought another thing to give Georgia Tech credit here, I will say, is I thought they tackled extremely well. I was pretty impressed because a couple times And this is where we kind of get to talking about these FSU backs, right? Toafili and Williams, who had some solid runs. But on the other side, man, you would think that they would turn some of those 7-yarders into more, and I'm not expecting like an 80-yard Trey Benson type run out of this group, but they did not break tackles. They went down. And that's just like not great. The narrative has been, hey, yes, like they missed the Trey Benson, they're going to miss his explosiveness. However, they will do a better job of getting what's there. They have better vision than Benson, which they might. Again, it's 58 snaps of football on offense. You had 7 total drives. Like that's not really a great representative sample. Now we can read into this and will, but also I'm not going to throw away all my priors on a football team based on 58 plays on seven drives. Personally, you may choose to, and I get it because that's kind of the nature of fandom. I was a little more impressed by Georgia Tech today than I was disappointed in FSU, which I'm sure FSU fans will disagree with, and that's fine. They can, but the backs to me they were solid, but not special. And if you're going to be a team that can win the ACC, you need to play at a higher level rushing the football, because I don't think the improvement could come enough in the passing game to get you where you want to go, which is an ACC title, if you're rushing the football in this way. I'll get into kind of some of the advanced stats here. Let me see. So, yeah, I mean, rushing success rate on the day, 33%. Offensive success rate, 33%. That's just really not going to get it done. We will see how much more like creative jet stuff and that kind of stuff that you can incorporate, but there are ways to play that, and Tech started to kind of adjust to that pretty fast in really like the late first quarter, I guess. So I guess 2 little adjustments too late is what I can kind of say for the offense, right? Like you saw DJ hit some guys over the middle to counter some of those Tech safeties blitzing, and I thought that was a good adjustment, but it did happen a little too late. You were 2 of 5 throwing passes more than 15 yards in the air. 10 of your 11 completions came on passes that were under 5 yards. 7-11 in kind of that medium category. I'll chart it and see a different split. I would like to see more of that, like, 8 to 18 range, and then like 18 plus, because to me, you're getting some of those digs in 18 at like 8 to 18. And then I want to see more of your like, deep shots. Power rushing was fine. Like you converted all your short yardage stuff. But your leverage rate, which is staying ahead of the chains, was not quite good enough, I think. And again, I'll give Tech some credit here. I thought they did a really good job of daring you to throw on like 2nd and 12 or 3rd and 8 in situations where you might be going for it on 4th down. Like Tech sold out against the run. There was one, I circled them both on my notes. So there's one in the second quarter, 2nd and 12. They sold out on the run, would look like a run blitz to me, actually, and popped it for a loss to back you up more. And then they also did it on a where are we at here? On a 2nd and 13. So I don't think they have a tell. I just think they correctly guessed that FSU is trying to move the ball back into position to have a more manageable 3rd down. And they're correct in that assumption that FSU is, not dead in the water, obviously, because DJ did convert 2 4th down and long-ish plays to lead that tying drive. But FSU is clearly not a team that plays very well from behind the chains right now, because it's just not a great drop back passing team. And that is something I do not think will change throughout the year. Their play action stuff has to get better if they want to get to where they want to go. But again, I'm not fully changing my opinion on this team. I also definitely did not think this team was going to go undefeated. I had my most likely records in order were 10-2, 9-3, and 8-4. I didn't really think 11-1, 12-0 were good possibilities with this team. But we did have Tech as one of those ones that Like you needed to not lose more than one of the games in that category. So if you want to stay on schedule, that's kind of your one. And I think most people would argue that you are certainly not on schedule. And I think a lot of people would say, like, hey, what what are you doing here? Like your budget is way better than a lot of these ACC teams. Shouldn't be losing that. I think there's a lot of FSU fans that spent money to go over to Ireland. They're probably pissed, and I completely understand why they would be. All right. Toa Philly is your best receiver right now. Again, if you're throwing back shoulders to Ja'Kai Douglas and your running back is your best receiver, I do think that's just a bit of a problem, which is fairly obvious. And we got a lot of, I mean, just go look at the comments on our receiver preview. People roasted us for it. And I'm like, have you guys seen practice or like even seen clips of practice? Like, do you see these? Anyway, but whatever. Like now y'all see what everybody's been seeing in practice. These receivers don't scare anybody. Maybe some of the young guys will step up later. I mean, I felt really bad for Cam Davis with the drop that he had. That's disappointing, and I'm sure they're going to keep going back to that guy because he's got some juice and some real power to his game and plays hard, and I think is a good kid. And maybe it is a different game if he catches that ball. That was in the very early part of the game. FSU was having a lot of success scheming up some stuff underneath with misdirection, and maybe it's a wildly different game if he catches that. All right, so we got the Brian Courtney missed a backside cutoff block, which kills you on one drive. I wonder if when you get West back, maybe that helps. You got a bailout face mask. I mean, it was a correct call, but it was certainly a bailout because DJ was sacked there. I don't think DJ played any worse after he got dinged. I wrote it down in my notes, the big hit at the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. I thought you handled blitz poorly at times in sort of the middle 20-minute part of the game. So, kind of final part of the second quarter and then the early part of the third quarter, they were really blitzing well, and FSU did not counter it well during that period. Douglas missed a block as well that set you back on a drive pretty hard. So a lot of work to be done on the offense. Mike Norvell's a good offensive coach. I'm sure that this offense will get better as the season goes on if everybody stays healthy. As far as I can tell, they're still healthy right now, and football is a game of attrition. So, that matters quite a bit. Let's talk defense now. So you can sort of look at the surface numbers and say, 336 yards, that's not that bad. But I really that was a disappointing defensive effort, regardless of the total yardage and regardless of just scoring 24 points. And the reason is, I mean, you only forced 2 punts on 7 drives. Tech had the ball for 7 drives. They scored 24 points. I mean, that's over 3 points per drive. To give you like some perspective, in some of these like Big 12 shootout games, there might be 13 drives in a game, although not really sure about that anymore because the helmet comms, everybody's just taking it down to 15 seconds before they snap it. So the clock is moving. I mean, 52 plays for Tech, 58 for FSU is something to monitor going forward for sure. So you look at this, the long drives that Tech had that you were unable to bow up in the red zone particularly is the most concerning thing, because we talked about this. Can you avoid allowing the explosive plays and the busts? And Tech had some explosive plays, but not an insane number, okay? They had one pass play that went over 20 yards, one. And they had one rush play. No, two. 2 rushes of 20 plus. Now, I know they only had 52 plays, but still, like that's 3 on 52, right? That is like not actually that bad. What is bad is the failure to get tackles for loss, the failure to knock Georgia Tech behind the chains, because similar to FSU, Tech is a team that will likely be poor when they are behind the chains. And indeed, at times they were. I mean, they were 3 of 9 on third downs, but you only forced 9 third downs. FSU had 12 on their side. To me, in watching this, the broadcast was talking about the lack of dominance with the defensive line. And I think there was some of that. But I'm concerned about linebacker and more concerned than I thought I would be. Tech did a very good job, and we talked about this on the preview, of using motion and shifts. And Faulkner's a really good OC. And I imagine he'll probably get a job next year somewhere. I thought they did a fantastic job of using formation and shifts to kind of make FSU's linebackers play real flat-footed. And I get there's a need to not overrun plays and not allow the cutbacks and not overplay things because King is such a dangerous run threat. And he was 15 for 54, but if you truly look at it, I mean, I don't know how many first downs he ran for. I can pull it up right now, actually. King ran for, can I pull it up? I don't know. King ran first down. He ran for 3 first downs and had a lot of successful rushes on the day. But I thought FSU's linebackers got attacked. Several of the explosive plays in this game were linebackers running out to the flat and being unable to tackle in the flat. I thought Tech at times got the looks they wanted from FSU's defense. They seemed to understand what checks FSU would have. Part of that is probably the new safety and 2 new linebackers. At times, it looked like FSU's defense wasn't always, I'm not gonna say set, but like they weren't like set with confidence in what they needed to do before the snap. And you could just kind of tell like they're not firing, they're not attacking downfield. There are times when Tech is holding a double team against Jackson or Farmer way too long, and I'm like, dude, Graham or Lundy, that they need to fire. So Tech, to me, they took advantage of of Lundy and of Graham quite a bit. Devontae Brown a little bit in run support, but again, I know I voiced concerns on the season preview episode. Like, yes, I know he's playing a different position. Yes, I know he's been okay in practice, but I'm still concerned about Devontae Brown starting for you because of how bad he was last year at Miami. We will see how much better he gets, assuming he continues to play. Thought Conrad Hussey had some nice moments in the game. He also got into play, which was good. Tackling was worlds different. Okay. So I don't really know how many times Tech had a run or a pass where you completely blew an assignment. A lot of it was just being a step late and then failing to get the guy on the ground. Again, credit the Tech with Haynes King's legs and the play calling to create that sort of hesitancy in FSU's defense. Like they deserve credit. They did a great job of that, and that's why they deserve to get the win. But man, that was the tackling there was something to see, and there are certainly other teams who will try to attack FSU in that way, and we'll have to see if these linebackers can play. Lundy is a guy I know he hopes to get drafted. That tape today probably going to cost him some money. He's going to have to kind of earn that draft status back, I think. Again, I get it. Like, it's a wet field against a real mobile quarterback. They do a nice job with some of their hesitation and delay stuff. It is slippery. I do think it's harder to play. This is not excuse making, right? I'm just, if you want a reason to just not be a fandom bridge jumper after this game, I do think that is probably not completely representative of what we will see all season from the linebacker group. But I'm more down on the backer group, I think. I'm going to have to do the rewatch, but more down on them than most of the positions that I saw today. I thought corner, for the most part, was okay. Cypress might have missed one, but as far as coverage stuff, those are some really slippery and fast receivers for Tech. And I mean, very, very few things allowed that are actually on the corners today. Thought Marvin Jones had some good moments. Tech's right side of the offensive line, I thought, played with good physicality. But again, I just saw a lot of backers standing around looking confused, which, again, I get it. Credit Tech, but certainly not something that you're excited to see there. All right. The other thing is, I mean, damn, King just stepped up and made like two really, really good plays. You know, you get two fumbles in the game by Tech. They recover both of them. If you watch a show a long time, you know fumbles are pretty much luck, especially when it comes down to who recovers them. But I thought some of the plays that King made in crucial situations, they just deserve to win the game. Like that's just damn good execution, and especially the one. Like he sidesteps Marvin Jones on a good rush. Jones does his job, right? Doesn't allow King to escape the pocket, which was certainly a goal in the passing game for much of the game. He steps up and he throws the ball into like a garbage can size hole. Shit, man. All right. Like that is tough. I thought Tech handled your blitzes better than you handled their blitzes on the day, just comparatively. You went to some more 4-3 looks at times. Those were not, I don't know. I'll have to kind of go back and chart it because you're not always paying attention to exactly who's in there until they screw up. So I think you have a little bit of selection bias when you're watching the game live. But the red zone defense to me is a problem. Like if I told you that Tech would have drives of 14, 11, 12, you'd probably think, okay, but like maybe one touchdown, 2 field goals, maybe a punt, something like that, maybe a turnover. Not allowing those explosives is big, but I mean, Tech just punched in the red zone. They scored touchdowns in the red zone when they got down there. And that was a huge difference in the ballgame. I mean, it's not like Florida State was terrible in the red zone. Obviously, they did not get into the red zone near enough. They scored when they got down there. But I mean, 14-play drive, 11-play drive, 12-play drive is them consistently finding a way to out-execute your defense by margin. They were just crisper. I think they had a better feel. I saw David Hale tweet this, and I thought it was very, very apt. He said Tech has a better feel for what they can and cannot pull off play-wise than FSU does. And I think that's probably really true with where this team is right now. So a couple questions from the chat. Are you gone for an at-large playoff appearance? No, I don't think so, personally, but it's a very unlikely chance that you'd probably have to run the table, right? I mean, if you run the table and lose in the ACC title game, 11-2, I think you're probably in because you would have wins like at Notre Dame, at Miami, all that kind of stuff. But by far, your chances, I think preseason you were like 35% to make the college ball playoff. They're probably more like 15, 20, I guess. So we'll see. We'll see how that shifts, and other teams will lose games as well. That's not to make you all feel better. It's just kind of common sense. You just happen to have the first one, and did not play well enough to get the win. Like it wasn't very fluky. You hit a 59-yard and a 52-yard field goal in a game that you lost by 3. Like that's kind of crazy there. So I do still feel good about the Boston College game, and I know they have a very athletic quarterback, but I'm still feeling pretty good about that one. And maybe you guys think I'm crazy. Definitely not drunk because I'm working today. But no, I don't think DJ is useless. This is why I don't read the chat when I'm doing the show, because it distracts me from my notes. They'll have to rep some of this stuff and not have as much indecision on defense. I don't think DJ is useless. He's just kind of who he is, right? Like that's who he is. He's fine. He's not special. Like he's not. Like again, there's a reason why he's still in college, not the pros. So, for all y'all who bought into this idea, he was going to make some huge jump in this offense. I don't know why. You never, ever got that from us, ever. We said the staff thinks that he is what they thought he would be, period. Okay? Take that, like I'm just reading the chat, like take that elsewhere. I never told you guys he was going to be better than what he was at Oregon State. We said absolutely no shot at the Heisman. He's not that guy. So, and that's not a shot at him. It's just, I don't know where this hype is. Maybe other shows did, but take that to their comment section if you want to throw that in their face. I never said that kind of stuff. Not here, not on Cover 3, not on CBS HQ. So if you want to say they should have stuck with Brock Glenn, no, I don't hate bringing in the veteran quarterback. If they are clearly out of the playoff race, then obviously I think you need to sit DJ and play Brock Glenn. But that's more of like an after Halloween type decision, not an August 24th decision. Let's see how this plays out. There's a lot of football. You get a lot of weird stuff in week one at times, and that's not a cop-out excuse. It's just a fact. Sometimes a team looks awesome in week one and they roll through the rest of the season. Other times teams look like crap in week one and end up having pretty good years. So still a lot of good players on this team. I think this is still a pretty well-coached football team. I'm not drastically changing my opinion on this team program based on a field goal loss in another country in an August game that contained 50 plays and 7 drives. So, yeah. Cool. I will see you guys on Monday after after I do the rewatch. So, I will see you guys.